Hello, and good morning. So, I was just kind of exploring around the corners of the map. They've got all kinds of neat little designs going on all over the place. It's always nice that you can look around this thing. But, kind of made me wonder if there were, at some point, plans to go to some other stuff. Also, I guess this was kind of their coat of arms after the fact. Like, sweet thing of just, like, griffins, like, holding up their constitution or whatever. Like, check out our laws! But yeah, it's cool stuff. Anyway, moving on. Made a couple quick changes to the party to make it a little bit more uniform. So Steve is still doing his whole axe and punch thing. These three are still doing their thing. I gave them... what is it? I think I meant to give them something else. Hang on. I think I was meaning to give them Pumpkin Strike. Yeah, but they were a few points off. So, that'll be next time for those ones. These two are... they just got their alchemy upgraded, because I want to have two that can use some better items earlier on. And then these three did get Pumpkin Strike, so hopefully they'll be doing their thing for a while until they just pumpkin nuke everything. Mostly because that'll be pretty useful in this next fight. Let's go ahead and move on with that. Should probably have hired some new folks by this point, but we're gonna... I think we're probably gonna end up going to Farampa as it's open. Yes. He's a pirate. I think Steve just sees a friggin' fortress, is like, I want it. I don't care what's going on here, I just want this fort. Alright, so this almost went very poorly last time. I'm gonna say forget Bayan. Can't use him anyway. Also, expect some craptastic frame rate because of this rain here. Such is life. Alright, have our mainliners run up. Probably take out the cockatrices because those are going to be the biggest problem. It's actually kind of absurd how much damage they're doing right now. Mostly because, yeah, short bows and all that, against unarmored stuff, they're actually pretty darn strong, and these are the upgraded ones, too. So, that's all well and nifty. Get them over there, get this guy over here. I was really hoping to finish this thing off, but I guess such isn't going to be the case. He's going to get a breath off. Come on, crit. Well, worth a shot. It's not like they've got anything better to do there. So Bane's gonna provide a handy little distraction. Not really sure what else to offer him besides that. Actually, come to think of it, Steve might be able to do some stuff here. Come on, Steve. Ask him questions. Good job. Really? They're hitting their friggin' 20%. Why can't I has one? Really? Oh man, this is reminding me of yeah, 3 sub 50% in a row. Awesome. All right, thanks, Folkert. But yeah, no, this is reminding me of last night. Was going and was doing one of my other challenge runs that I was doing, which was basically just a no store challenge kind of thing. So no hiring new people, no buying anything, none of that. Which is actually pretty fun. It works really. It works far better than it did in vanilla. I'll tell you that much. Just yeah, let's just say that when it comes to one of the challenge runs in this. Vanilla had some problems, namely, I tried to do a no-store run, which just resulted in the creation of that whole Catch-22 idea I had a while ago, which is in itself a sort of alternate version of some other ones that were around, which mostly I didn't like because they were just an excessive amount of rules at one time. So, at any rate, what ended up happening over the course of all this thing is, oh, dang, that is some damage off you. Okay, so, the more it went on, the more it became clear that that run was almost definitely going to just end before, well, before the end of Chapter 3 in almost every case. Pretty much what that run consisted of was you can't use stores, you can only use stuff you picked up. Crafting is fine. You can use a book at any point, you know, to learn anything, and essentially get one free cast of something. And, yeah, basically you couldn't, you could only use one class at a time, because if there wasn't one class at a time, then stuff started getting all jank as far as balance goes. It went weird. So that continued to get weirder and weirder as time got on, until it finally got to the point where it was always like Denim with a hammer being overpowered as crap all of a sudden, because he's the only one that survived and has kill moves up to that point, and basically everybody else was just there to buy time. And that was like every attempt at that in a nutshell. And I did like 6 or 7 of them, I think. And yeah, it, wow, this 20s and 40s might as well be 100%. Awesome. So, you know, that went on and on. Actually went on. You can't do Infernal. Blah. That does a 64, that does a not 64 probably, that does... yeah, there we go. So point being, it had problems. But the main idea of the run was just supposed to be that you're at the mercy of RNG and essentially have to risk your limited units in order to be able to accomplish anything. So, you know, went ahead and started trying it with this one. And it works a lot better, namely, a lot of the limitations are already built in, so for example with books, you can't use them during a fight, so that's fine. Basically, if you're going into a fight, like, it self-balances out grinding, because if you go out for a grind fight, you're essentially still risking your guys there. So it's basically no reloading, no, you know, no loading of any kind, pretty much. It's a straight Iron Man run. With, ooh, that is a nice snipe right there. With just the rule being you can't use stores in any capacity. Which is fun, because it basically means early on you can't go and buy rings for everybody, which means everybody's all underpowered for a little while, and it's surprisingly not that underpowered. You're basically just exactly at the same level as the AI at that point. So you end up taking losses, and the only way that you can get new people is either to recruit them through the story, or just recruit them as they are. And, yeah. It works out better than you'd think. Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, Steve's probably pretty pissed off at the pirates here. Like, man, I just wanted this fortress, I got their fortress, but they have another fortress I can take, so gimme. Maybe he feels like being helpful, you know? Alright. A couple of them. I have enough for Pumpkin Strike. I'm gonna pick that up just in case. Because honestly, I think Pumpkin Strike's a bit more useful than their kill moves right now. Because Vin's the only one that hasn't learned it for some reason. Whatever, I think I bought an extra skill on him a while ago. Alright, on we go. Go capture some forts. It's actually turning out way easier than I expected, because we're freakishly overpowered right now. Which is fine. It's actually funny, because it's not nearly as overpowered as it would be in base game. Like, right now, they would be able to do absolutely nothing in base game, and right now it's a relatively fair fight. You guys are faster, a little bit stronger. It's just a different variety of abilities, really. Can you snipe? Yes, you can. I'm gonna fast forward through this one a little bit, though. Feels appropriate. Feels appropriate. They're all zippy-zoomy-like. Dang. Okay, silver bows are amazing. Actually, no, you can do a thing. Do that thing. Wow. That guy's just super unlucky. He can get sniped from anywhere. So, interesting thing, by the way, as they go and they hit yet another 25%. Man, why are they so good at hitting 25s? Oh yeah. Actually, wait. Taking like 80 steps back here, the reason that it was reminding me of yesterday was pretty much because that exact thing was repeatedly happening. Like 25 to 40s just kept hitting over and over and over, and it's like, dude, my 80s just missed repeatedly. What is going on? But yeah, weird inverse numbers going on. But no, it's just bad luck. So, what I was trying to say is, yeah, I was watching this thing on siege weapons and all that. Pretty interesting thing to see there. But apparently, the whole thing with like catapults versus onagers and whatever, like what's called what exactly? Apparently, yeah, catapults literally can still be trebuchets or literally anything that chucks a rock through the air. I kind of thought it was just those basic, you know, old siege engines or whatever, but apparently it's literally just anything that chucks something through the air. What was it? I think that they said the original term was it Greek? Greek or Roman or something. But I think it was supposed to be like catapala. It was a mix of pulling downwards and throwing, I think. Something like that. Something like that. We're gonna go with something like that. Oh yeah, also, got asked earlier, and no, I didn't mention anything political recently. The reason that one person actually ended up going away from the thing recently, interestingly, was actually because they got, by the way, that is a lot of LY words. No, they got banned out of nowhere. Still trying to figure out what the deal is with all that. There's a friend of mine that that also had a channel, and interestingly, just kind of out of nowhere, he got kicked off, and I don't know, the guy doesn't really do any kind of verbal stuff or anything. He doesn't really do anything controversial or anything. He literally just makes funny things to do with cows, and most of the time. Like, I don't really understand what would have happened there, but whatever. Hopefully they'll get it figured out. Kind of a bum deal. So, yeah. But the only theory I could come up with is they recently tried doing, like, Monster Hunter stuff, and I know the very second I started putting up Monster Hunter stuff, there was a thing of like, hey, this is copyrighted and all crap, so just FYI. So maybe that was it, that he put a bunch of them up, and maybe they needed something, I don't know. It's unclear. So it probably does make sense for me to spread out damage like this, but that's fine. Griffin's gotta go because it's gonna make a comeback of some description. April, can you get in shooting range? Not really. Alright, you might be able to hit from here. Oh, by the way, speaking of stuff out of range, there's a thing that Rakes was talking about yesterday, in which, as I understand it, there's a plan to remove some, like, inbuilt ranged options, and possibly replace some of them with something a little bit more fitting. One of the things that was discussed was like a short-range item toss for some classes, whereas for most of them, if they had a rock-throwing ability, essentially that would be removed. So, yeah, we'll see some kind of new stuff coming out of that. Also, I should really get Umbra on somebody. I can't, actually. I can't hire gremlins in any capacity. I just noticed. I don't think I have any that are able to do, what is it, like, Dark Pact or whatever it's called? Well, bye, Ban. I'm kind of surprised that Fulkert doesn't have anything to say about that. Like, we just saved that guy. Why did he have to die now? Well, nope, nothing. Not gonna say a thing. Not gonna say a word. Hi, ridiculously slow Terranite. So, right there, I just want to point out, he's not over-leveled. He's actually, I believe, I'm going to check in just a sec, but I believe he's actually under-leveled by comparison. And he's still doing hundreds. Everybody's damage is way higher. Actually, no, he's at the same level, so that's fine. He apparently gained some levels since last time, even though I think it said Knights only went up to like 6 or something. Well, I guess he ended up getting the lion's share of that XP or something. Anyway, Rapari's gonna go ahead and snipe a guy. I don't know if I mentioned before, by the way, the whole deal with Rapari, he actually is a character in another thing. So it's this roguelike... Oh, whoops. That's not the one I meant to heal. But it's this roguelike called The Pit, and there's a guy in it that's, compared to everybody else, base game, he's a little bit of a joke. Like, he isn't a joke character, it's just, he's not really good compared to everybody else. So, the crux of that game is more or less, like, old roguelike kind of stuff. You have a number of floors, whether it's, you know, 20 or 40, depends on how exactly you want to play it, because essentially more floors means more potential benefits. Less floors means, you know, you can potentially get there faster. So you start off with a certain selection of stuff that's fitting for whatever that character has. Like the soldier guy goes in with, you know, grenades and assault rifle and pistol and some rations and that sort of thing, and some stuff for blowing open doors. Whereas, like, a scout goes in with a knife and a pistol, and they're just basically all sneaky-like. So, you'd think the bug guy would be the best, because he goes in, he has literally a bayoneted friggin' automatic magnum thing. Which is, in my opinion, one of the most overpowered things in the base game of that thing. Anyway. He starts off with a flamethrower and, like, full, like, body armor and everything else. And on paper, he's supposed to be really good. But the thing is, you have to kind of just deal with the situations that you run into along the way, which he's not very good at doing. So you get, like, props that you have to interact with. So, like, say there's a freezer or something and it's frozen shut, so you need your mechanical thing to, mechanical skill, and essentially you pass a skill check to open the thing and, you know, get whatever Lunchables or whatever crap is inside. So, at any rate, he's awful at that. Like, awful to a degree that is almost embarrassing. Like, everyone else starts off in maybe the 30 to 50 range. These are skills that go from 1 to 100. He starts off with, like, 13, I think. Actually, I think Mechanical is the only one that he actually does have. Well, at any rate. So he's really bad at that. He's really bad at anything computer-related. He's really bad at anything, you know, trickery-related. His whole thing is, like, he can take far more punishment than everybody else on paper, but his overall health is lower. So he takes dramatically less damage than everybody else, but his health is lower and his recovery is lower. Meaning that over time he gets worn down far easier than everybody else. The usual counter to that would be to go and take a nap. And, you know, you can do that just about anywhere for a slow heal. If you find a bed or just general rest area, you can do far better. But thing is, he recovers like a third as fast as everybody else. So if he ends up getting worn down, well, his recovery options, you know, base game anyway, are very, very, very limited. So, like, that was his whole thing. Like, he was just the joke character, more or less, because despite starting off stronger than everyone else, he ended up eating way too fast, because, you know, he's a big guy. He ends up eating way too fast, he ends up burning through all of his stuff way too fast, which is... I should probably mention at this point, there's a durability rating to every wearable thing that you find. I mean, like, maybe a couple of exceptions, but 99.9% of the stuff that you find and can wear, you can potentially have it broken by getting hit while wearing it. So, you know, it's this constant back and forth, like, you know, what do I want to use right now? What do I want to protect right now? You know, if I walk around a corner and the friggin' acid blob hits me and, you know, suddenly all my stuff is melted, then... then what? Because there's literally, like, little acid blobs that hang out in rooms. And they'll, instead of hitting for your health, they'll just hit the durability of your items, and your items are, like, 15 to 60, while your guy's health is, like, 1,000. So, you know, they'll end up hitting your knife and melt the thing. Well, anyway, so that's Rapari in a nutshell. He's just a giant bug guy with a flamethrower and a bayoneted pistol that that obsesses over cheese. Like half his quotes are something to do with cheese. Like every third time he succeeds, like, oh yeah, I earned my cheese today. That's adorable. He got this cartoony little, like, oh, I'm totally this kind of voice. It's hilarious. I know some people get annoyed by it, but given that the rest of the game is just all depressing and dreary, and, like, the music is intentionally dreary and everything else, and here's this guy just talking like a cartoon, it's fantastic. It cannot be understated. It's just, usually roguelikes are this whole depressing thing. And there was this weird moment a few years ago where suddenly a bunch of them came out of the woodwork and they're like, we want to make a bunch of really charming roguelikes out of nowhere. Had stuff like The Pit coming out, had stuff like Rogue Legacy coming out, which, by the way, if you haven't played that one, it's much nicer than most roguelikes, in terms of, you know, not so much difficulty, but just like the kind of shenanigans you can pull to essentially be overpowered as hell. But, also, you're basically getting upgrades every time that you go through it. So you get a run as far as you can, you upgrade your facilities, you go back in. It's a roguelite, really. Because the point of roguelike is that you get to the very end of it, and that's it. Like, you don't get a second chance. Actually, probably the best example of a modern roguelike done well is one called Cataclysm DDA. It's... How do I even describe it? Okay, so there's this thing called Dwarf Fortress a while ago. It kind of made a big name for itself by essentially being a game where literally everything is calculated, like just the weather, what you're standing on, what your character does, that kind of thing. So off of a similar vein came a game called Cataclysm DDA, in which everything is taken into account. Like, when you're hit by something, you know, it takes account all the different layers you're wearing, all the different stuff that's going on. And, you know, if you're stashing stuff on you, you, like, pick where you want stuff stashed. Like, if you want to, you know, stick a friggin' knife in your sock, so that in case you get knocked down, you can still reach the knife in your sock, you can do that. It's one of those kinds of things where just, like, everything has to be thought about. But it's extremely modular. Like, there's so many mods, and I don't mean that in terms of... to be clear, I do mean modular, like, the actual definition of modular, not like... It has a ton of mods, but I'm not saying it because of that. Necessarily. Okay, now that I've completely eaten my own foot, let me explain. there are a crap ton of mods, but the entire thing comes with a ton of mods. So essentially when you start it up, you just basically pick from a list of options of just how crazy you want your run to be, including stuff like having friggin' wizard dinosaurs running around. Like, it's... You just combine, like, do you want friggin' fantasy settings in here? Do you want dinosaurs? Do you want friggin' nice zombies? Do you want crazy mutation powers? You know, what do you want? So it's basically like the weirdly accommodating prostitute of roguelikes. Let's just call it that way. I don't know if that's how that works. Can't say that's been an experience I've been through personally, but whatever. Point being, there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with it. So, what was I getting at here? I got a little bit distracted by the fact that there's pumpkin nukings to do. There we go. Yes! I love that that's an option now. This has worked out well. So, alright. That's that. I mean, I think that explains that in a nutshell. It's just it's a survival game where literally everything is possible. Like, you see a car, you see exactly what components are busted on it. You know, you generally look around for what kind of stuff you might need to fix it. You know, maybe over time you end up running into radiation stuff and get friggin' powers from it, or maybe it just kills you, depending on what kind of mods you have going on. It's interesting. Alright, so why is Vendry not giving up exactly? Because she was at critical, so I think her turn has to come around while she's critical. Yoink! That's for being a traitor last game. What if we're just not able to spare her? Put a bunch of people around her just so Folker doesn't run up and stab her in the face. Because you know what, even Steve's not that, friggin' mean-spirited, I guess? I don't know. I don't know what the term would be there. I was gonna say mean-hearted, but I forget what exactly that... something-hearted. I'm not sure. Do give up now, please. Might want to do Infernal on Fulkert, actually. Rude. Can't, apparently. Why are you not giving up? Alright, well, we're gonna keep trying. Trying very hard to spare her. Well, that didn't exactly work out. Anyway. Now that utter depression can ensue. So these two... I guess they're just kind of going off to go be a couple or something now. Alright, well, they get to have their first couple fight here. Over in Goliath. And, yeah. See you next time, then.